We'll commence the session. So today we are very, very excited to have two of our expert faculty from two of our STEM undergraduate programs in business technology management, Dr. Palash Bera, and from our BS in data science, Dr. Darren Spiegel are with us today. So as you can see, one of the hallmarks of SLU education is the connection with our faculty, and we are thrilled to be able to have faculty here today to talk as the experts about their field, to share this information, why these degree programs, why St. Louis University. So this is an exciting session for us. Darren, Palash, thank you both so much. Why don't we go ahead and start with quick introductions. Darren, I can see you first, maybe a quick introduction of you and kind of how you arrived at SLU and any other highlights that you would like to note before we jump in.
Sure. Hi, I'm Darren Spiegel. I am a professor of mathematics and statistics, and I'm also the director of the data science program. I came to SLU directly out of graduate school in 1997, so I've been here for 25 years. Mostly I was working in math and applied harmonic analysis, but over the past 10, 15 years, I started doing more and more statistics and data science. So when the opportunity came to lead the data science program, I was really excited about it. It's a growing field. It's an exciting field. I think we're excited to be a part of it.
Great. Thank you, Darren. And Palash, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you arrived at SLU.
Yes. So good morning and probably good evening or good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Palash Bera. I am right now an associate dean of the graduate program and also the department chair of operations and IT management and a data analytics professor. I have been at SLU for 10 years now. I finished my PhD at University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada, and then worked for 3 years at a university in Texas and came here joined as an assistant professor. And in these last 10 years, I have become associate dean in this business school. So I came to this field of data analytics and specifically data analytics because I had interest in data and different parts of how data is used in organizations. My focus when I was a PhD student, I started teaching database, how database is used in organization. And then slowly understood that database and data has a big impact in different organizations, and started learning about data visualization, and then moved more into data related, analytics related or inference related use of data in organizations. And that's how I've become pretty interested in this field. Our program is pretty challenging and very, very interesting. So I'll talk more about that later. And I do research in different areas of data analytics, like data visualization is one of my key areas of research. How data visualizations can have impact in decision making. That's one of the things that I do research on. And I also do research on other areas of IT or IS, information systems. But data visualization is something that I really work pretty hard and do research on.
Wonderful. All very exciting. Well, I think data and analytics are the words for today. And Palash, I love that you highlighted challenging. I think that's also another hallmark of a SLU education. It's excellent academics, very challenging, but very supportive environment. So thank you for highlighting some of those in your introduction. I wanted to go ahead and just give a quick kind of lay of the land profile of St. Louis University for all of you who have joined today, whether you're a student applying or planning on joining us. St. Louis University has some really wonderful attributes that make us extremely unique. We are an urban university, so we are in the heart of St. Louis, Missouri, which has about 3 million people, which really places us at the center of the metropolitan kind of economic engine, which really places our students at the footsteps of a lot of large companies and opportunities, both for internships, CPT, OPT, and post-graduation opportunities. Very historic institution with an academic legacy of over 200 years. So we have been involved in research and dedicated to academic integrity academic work for a very, very long time. We also have a campus in Europe in Madrid, Spain. So being part of our undergrad program, you do have the opportunity to study abroad at one of our 50 sites around the world or at SLU Madrid, which is an excellent opportunity to have a truly global experience. But as I referenced earlier, a hallmark of a SLU education is the community environment. And that starts from day one. You can see here, we have two of our expert faculty. We have connection directly to our faculty at the very beginning of your journey to SLU, all the way through graduation and onward to becoming an alum. Our class sizes are very intimate. So we have, 15 to 25 students generally per class, very, very customized curriculum, very in touch with your peers and other faculty, 9-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So we talk a lot about community here on campus, both the community that is imbued within the classroom environment, the social aspect, but also commitment to community service. So a very holistic educational experience, very diverse as well. We have over 12,000 students here at St. Louis University, and this year we are home to more than 1,200 international students from more than 80 different countries. So we're excited to have students come and join us to have access to this excellent education. But our education is also evidenced in this excellence in our ranking. We're ranked in the top 3% of all American universities this year at 105. So as a national university, you'll be accessing the highest level of research. You'll be accessing an alumni network that's very well known and highly regarded, both here in St. Louis and around the country and globally. We do also have a very unique ranking, being a best value university ranked this year at 57. So when we look at best value, really the investment you're making in your education and the return on that investment. And we'll talk a little bit later with both of the faculty members on kind of some of the trajectory our students coming out of these particular degree programs have had and why STEM fields are really spectacular opportunities for international students. So without further ado, we will go ahead and jump right in. We'll be covering the BS in Business Technology Management program first, and then we'll dive into the BS in Data Science. Again, reminder, both of these programs do qualify for STEM OPT extension, which is a huge opportunity for our international students when they think about employment opportunities and gaining work experience here in the United States. So, Palash, let's dive into BTM, all things BTM. Maybe give us a quick overview of the shape of school and kind of the strength of our business school here at St. Louis University. I put a couple of rankings up here, but you are embedded in the school. So what can we tell our guests today about business here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Shape School of Business has been here for more than 100 years. And that tells quite a bit about our business school, which is there for such a long time. So we have a big history. We have been associated with so many different organizations. And St. Louis is actually a pretty big city. And there are a lot of organizations which are in the top 500, Fortune 500 companies. And you can guess that, therefore, we will have probably alumni in almost every organization in very senior positions. So that tells us about our focus on industry partnership and our alumni strong base, and not just in St. Louis, but around the world. There is a lot of alumni all over the world. So the rankings that you see, the first thing that I need to tell you is that the program, our business programs are accredited, AACSP accredited. So this accreditation is provided only to the top few business schools. You can see the percentage. And we have to apply for every 5 years. Every 5 years, we have to apply for this accreditation. And then we have to go through a rigorous process of making sure our programs are relevant, our students are well placed. So that process continues for every 5 years, and a lot of work needs to be done because of to make ourselves accredited. So you also see some of the rankings that you see, the top 5, like number 8 in IB, number 13 in supply chain. My program, my department actually provides that supply chain. So these are graduate degrees. So graduate degrees are in the top 20, these graduate degree programs. But overall, our business school is ranked, I think, our 80 to 90 range. The university's ranking was discussed a few minutes ago, but business school ranking is in the top 100 for sure. This is quite like a summary of what our business school is and where we are and how rigorous our programs are. If it's not rigorous, our programs would not get accredited, and how we keep ourselves innovative. And that leads to the discussion of BTM. So the BTM program, what you see here is we have two tracks. One is the standard track, and we have a concentration, and the concentration name is called Analytics and Enterprise Systems. So 3 years ago, we decided to revamp our curriculum and content. We renamed our program. So we used to call it as ITM, Information Technology Management, and we renamed it as Business Technology Management. And we took the opportunity to engage our alumni, our advisors and external bodies to redesign this program. So our content is very relevant. So just to be a little bit clear that when we use the word business technology management, what does it really mean? It really means that how technology is applied in business to make decisions. So that's like a one sentence definition. So technology is prevalent, technology is everywhere. But how do we make it relevant and how do we use it for decision making is becoming the key thing in all organizations. So I'll talk about a few of the courses that we offer, which are very relevant. So you can see that in our, let's talk about the major analytics and enterprise system. So there are two keywords here: analytics, data analytics. So data analytics is about how to make insights or get insights from data. So that's why you have different kind of algorithms. You use data visualizations, different kind of types of analytics like predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, or descriptive analytics. So that's one area, and it is emerging. It's really very, very popular area in US and also around the world. The second area is enterprise system. So enterprise systems is actually an IT system that works to integrate the different parts of the organizations. For example, marketing, sales, finance, accounting. So all these operations, all these functionalities are connected to each other, right? So they don't work in isolation. So that means when you go to a store and purchase something, automatically it triggers an invoice. Automatically it tells to the supply chain that, okay, we need to reorder, right? So this entire connection is extremely important to run the business very efficiently and smoothly. So what we have done is we have partnered with a company called SAP, and SAP is our enterprise system. So we teach SAP in this program. So combination of SAP and analytics is, I think, is the only one in the entire US. So there are a few universities that teach SAP. There are quite a few universities that teach analytics, but combining them, I think we are the only one in the entire US. We have, so what we do, so SAP generates a lot of data, right? And SAP, the knowledge of SAP is very, very relevant, very, very valuable in organizations. If you know about SAP, you get immediately hired in a lot of organizations. And I'll give you some examples later. And in terms of analytics, so SAP generates a lot of data. So we teach those SAP systems in our classroom with different technologies. And we take that data and put it in different kind of tools, visualization tools like Tableau, and there are a lot of other techniques or tools that we use. And then we make decisions, strategies that, okay, we should run the business in this way or that way. If you change, if you order 10 more items, probably you will be more profitable, right? So this is how we teach them hands-on, 100% hands-on, 100% relevant, and extremely useful. So these are the highlights of our program. Not many universities would offer these kind of unique challenge, unique concepts and unique topics, and very relevant. And we have to keep ourselves relevant because the business world is moving very fast. Technologies are being implemented at a very rapid pace. And if you want to be relevant, you have to actually update your curriculum. One part, other part is working with the industry. So we are very fortunate to be part of a very, lively connected with our network, with our industry, IT industry. Right in St. Louis, there are, as I said, quite a few IT intensive university organizations such as MasterCard, Boeing, and Centene and Bayer. They look for people with skills, these particular skills. If you have SAP, you are really looked quickly into these organizations. We have partnered with Deloitte. The managing director of SAP Deloitte is our own student. And she has been advocately promoting that, okay, we need to hire students. And every year, I think we get at least 5 to 6 students placed in Deloitte. Deloitte also helps us in mentoring our students. So they have something called mentorship program, where our students are paired with Deloitte managers directly, and they work together and nurture the relationship and develop that kind of work. There is tremendous value of this degree and tremendous interest of hiring. So last week I was in a CIO summit. I was invited to be a guest speaker there. And I was very lucky to be with the people like with IBM and Facebook. The head of IBM product development was there, and we had a lot of discussions. And one thing came out very clearly, that this region lacks people with skills in technology skills. So when I talked about our programs that students have OPT and opportunity, a lot of organizations have shown interest that, okay, we want to connect with you and see how we can take your students and help them to be actively involved in our workforce. It's a big challenge in this area in getting data analytics related skills. So a lot of organizations are really looking forward to it. Couple of more facts, and then I'll stop. I'll wait for Ryan to, the next prompt. One is our students are very well placed. On an average, I think our students, I don't know the exact figure, it is probably like 3 jobs. Every student get at least 3 jobs. And second, the salary that they get is quite high. We have in business school, we have different domains like this is one. Then we also have finance, we have accounting, we have marketing and sports business and things like that. When I saw the salary data of our students from this area, I saw that the students' average salary is twice compared to some other domains, which is very high. And you can guess that why it is so, because companies like Deloitte and those IT firms, McKinsey and all, if they hire, their starting salaries are extremely high, and students look for those kind of opportunities. I'll stop here if we have any.
Yeah, I've been quickly taking lots of notes. I mean, this is really great information. I think this is one of the benefits of having both you and Darren today to talk about these kind of this information that isn't always on our website. So thank you for that. I think these connections, and we talked earlier about the community environment, having faculty like you, Palash, who are out in the community meeting with business leaders, having those connections, that is part of having the SLU experience, having faculty who are sought out as experts in their field by large companies. And I think you've illuminated this and demonstrated the strength of a SLU education so succinctly. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity in a burgeoning and kind of very high need and high demand field. So thank you for that. You had touched a little bit on the curriculum. I wanted to go back just a little bit, kind of some of, I have here just a few of the courses. I think with BTM kind of being, let's say, not so much a newer field, but a field that's not as immediately known to maybe a student in high school around the world as like international business or marketing. But can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the specific course and curriculum? You talked about SAP, but what do these courses mean? A student coming out of high school, or kind of helping them understand really BTM and enterprise.
Right. So you highlighted actually the key courses here. So I'll give you some information, not in details, so that you can just get an understanding what we are teaching. So enterprise application development means that, all organizations run different kind of applications. So when you see that when you go and do certain purchase or do certain interactions, let's say you buy something from Amazon, you would not see something in the front end, right? All you see is Amazon.com, you type certain products and you click on it and you get it, right? But behind the scene, there are a lot of technologies that work. Behind the scene, there would be about how to make the data secure, where to keep that data. And that's what is BTM 3500, is governance and information security aspect of it. Then there are a lot of systems that interact together, and they need to be developed and they need to be maintained. That's where we call it enterprise application development, where we teach some technology. Just to be clear that our courses are not really code savvy. Like, you don't have to be an expert in coding. You need to have some knowledge in coding, but not really coding you don't have to spend hours and hours in coding. I think the 3100 is the only course that has some kind of coding that you have to use, like JavaScript or Java. Other than that, most of the courses have coding, but it is low level coding, not high level, real code intensive courses. We don't have that. So that's where you need to develop the application. And then when you develop the application, what you have to do is you have to work together with a lot of people. Some people are users, actual users. So you have to focus on how the interfaces need to be designed. So shall we put the logo on this side or that side? Shall we put a search button on here or there, right? And that's where an emerging area is coming up called design thinking. And that's the BTM 4100. So how do we design a system? So that's one area. Then the last course is actually pretty interesting one. We started recently. This is about something called practicum. So we realized that we teach a lot of concepts, like just now I said, like design thinking, systems analysis, enterprise application with a certain technology or information security. But ultimately, students need to work, right? So you might learn a lot of concepts and a lot of things, but ultimately you have to apply somewhere. So that's what we have done. It's called a course called Business Technology Management Practicum. That means we will partner, and we have done that in the past. We will partner with different organizations and work on a particular business problem to solve. Let's say there is some issue about data, like data is lying in multiple places, but it's the same data. So customer data is in one system, customer data is in another system. It's the same customer, but they're not connected to each other. So some organizations will come and bring to us that, look, we have a problem. Can your students solve it? So we take this opportunity in a classroom setting to solve a real business problem with a partner, and our students will work for the entire semester to solve it. And then for that, they need to learn concepts. So the teacher or the faculty would actually teach those concepts, or the partner, organization will come to the classroom and give presentations that, okay, you should have done this, done that. And that's how we are able to solve a real business problem, by applying what the students have already learned in the rest of the classes. So this gives a kind of an opportunity for students to substitute something called internship. So you really don't have to go for internship. Of course, a lot of our students go for internship, but this is like going to internship, sitting in the classroom, not even stepping out of the classroom. We will provide you the opportunity to interact with these organizations, come to the classroom, take their business problems and solve it in the class with your help. And that is, I think, is going to be the future of education. This part of education is called experiential learning. So how do you provide experiential learning? And that's the reason we have included courses such as practicum.
Well, and that embedded nature of the connection between the academic side and then the kind of being out in the field, that's really, really phenomenal opportunity for our students. So that, when I travel around the world and meet with students and our partners, they always say, well, how can we really propel the student into that return on investment stage of their journey? And this is exactly it. I'm really glad you illuminated that. And at the very beginning, talking about your curriculum, I think that's such a clear kind of way to look at BTM, giving these examples of our interfacing as a user with Amazon and what's happening behind the scenes. Like, it's really impacting everyone's day-to-day life all around the world. And, thank you for kind of giving that overview, because I think for many people who have joined today, they may not know exactly what business technology management is, but it impacts our lives, each and every one of us, no matter where you live in the world. So that's a really phenomenal explanation. And you did get ahead of me earlier about career opportunities and salaries, but just to kind of reiterate, this field in particular, it really has phenomenal outcomes and kind of mid-range salaries, because there is such a high demand and high need. And maybe talk about, besides some of the companies, maybe some kind of positions that students are getting as first career offers.
Right. In fact, there has been recently a report by an organization, nonprofit called Tech STL, TECH, Tech STL. And they have come up with some projection that there will be a need of at least 80,000 IT managers or IT related jobs in St. Louis region. So we don't have that many people working right now. So there is a tremendous gap of opportunities. Some of these opportunities can be fulfilled by our students working with technology, specifically with technology management. Typically, students would join different roles such as analyst, business analyst, or systems analyst. So what does what it means? So business analyst means that you are a person who's going to communicate between business users and technology users. So technology users, let's say coders or software developers, may not understand business. And business users or like or business decision makers, like a manager or senior manager, may not understand technology. So you would play as an intermediary role to communicate between these two groups of people. So that's one of the main kind of jobs we see our students get hired, particularly in the technology landscape of consulting, IT consulting. So, and that's another good thing of IT consulting. Like when our students go for consulting, they're very excited because they get the opportunity to travel a lot. Like you're working in, let's say in California for 3 weeks, and then you go to Florida for another 3 weeks. And when you start your career with this kind of opportunity, interacting with different clients and get the knowledge, that is extremely useful, and also the opportunity to travel abroad. So the kind of jobs: systems analyst, business analyst, and IT consultant. And these are the emerging roles where our technology management students would be mostly hired. There are also traditional roles, but our students would typically not join there. Like you would not get you will get a job, but you will probably not join as a software engineer. You won't be actually going and developing codes. That's not the purpose. Your work is more in the management area, how to really make a help of management related decisions. And then it can go further. You can become an IT manager. And then when you go up the ladder, you can be all the way up to CIO and CEO, right? So that's a trajectory that a lot of people would take. It's not a technical trajectory. The technical trajectory would be you can become a software developer, you can be a software tester. A lot of software are developed in agile mode, so there are different roles. And from there, you can be a lead architect, designer. So those are more of the technical roles. But what we see our students, they get into management role, more into how to manage applications. So, you go and see any of big organizations like Facebook. There are a lot of people who work on the technology space, but making decisions. And some of these could be related to ethics. Some of these related to privacy. So privacy manager, or, how to implement ethics in organizations using IT. So IT is, embedded in such a way that managerial positions of jobs are more relevant for our students, technology management students.
Well, and there was something you said in there that I think is really unique. And I think for this particular audience that we're speaking to internationally, in a lot of countries that I personally travel to, for recruitment purposes, the fields are generally kind of the very standard, engineering and business. And something you said is very interesting, I think important for our audience to know. I was just in India, and we hear a lot about computer science, but there also is a huge interest in business, but a lot of students don't know that there's this middle spot in between the two. And I think in a lot of countries, education or academics in this particular type of field don't exist. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for students who kind of have their mind in both camps, and traditionally may have said, well, I'm going to go to computer science because that's STEM and I want to do OPT and job opportunities. But this is really a phenomenal opportunity to kind of merge, let's say, that business side and some of that light technical experience and be in the field and have STEM. So thank you for highlighting that, because I think that is a really critical kind of concept for our international audience to kind of start jumping into. So, well, great. Palash, thank you so much. I have taken a lot of notes. I'll be following up with you because you had some really great information. So we are going to jump over to our BS in data science. Today is all about data analytics. I think we've definitely set the scene with that. Thank you again, Palash. So we'll jump over to Darren to talk about data science. And the order of the slides are a little bit different, so we'll do curriculum right after this. But Darren, tell us a little bit about BS in data science here at SLU, kind of the high view of your program.
Sure. So as you may know, data science is a relatively new field. If you look around at various universities, you'll see that many places either have a new program in data science that they've just started, or perhaps they don't have a data science program at all. When we were proposing our program, we looked at the national universities, and we could only find about 10 programs among the national universities that were 10 universities that had data science programs. So it's grown a little bit since then, but it's still not a particularly common major across the country. But what is data science? I mean, not everybody knows. So it combines like math and statistics and computer programming together with specific domain knowledge to create insights about hidden data, about insights that are hidden in your data. The data is not hidden. So the goal of data science, like I say, is to look at the data that most people already have. People are collecting data all the time. They don't know what to do with it. They have so much of it, and they want people to come and look at it. So that's what we try to do with our programs. We try to prepare people to be able to do that. We, as it says on the slide there, we're one of the most rigorous degrees, I believe, offered at SLU. We require over 60 hours of coursework for our degree. And it's split pretty much evenly between mathematics, statistics, and computer science as disciplinary fields. Then we do have some specific data science courses that students take to kind of combine the three areas together. One interesting thing is that almost all of our majors are double majors. By the time you get your data science degree, you will be one or maybe two courses away from getting a double major in mathematics. So you are already a very rigorous degree. If you choose a different path, you could be, I think it's maybe 4 courses away from a double major in computer science. So by the time you finish your data science degree, you are very close to getting a major in mathematics and computer science separately. And each one of those majors individually are very useful. And when you combine them in this way, we found that students are in demand. Our program graduated our first, I'm getting a little bit ahead of curriculum, but we graduated our first class in May. We've had a program for 3 years now, so that all the students who graduated were ones who transferred into the program as sophomores or juniors. And we graduated our first group back in May. I think we had only 6 students who graduated. So it's still very new. It makes it very exciting. Data science is definitely a growth field right now. And that's the curriculum, overview of the curriculum.
Well, I'm glad you touched on double major, because when you started speaking at that was a question that occurred to me. Would it be possible for a student, because they are so close to already having a double major, do you find that students might have an interest in doing data science and maybe a double major outside of your college or school, maybe something in the business school like entrepreneurship, or, what might that look like? Because it is such a new field. I think, we see a lot of interest in entrepreneurship as well, because it is, a top 20 program at SLU. So I was kind of curious and interested that you mentioned double majoring.
We really encourage our students to get expertise in a specific domain area, because in data science we're really learning the fundamentals and the theory and the general applications of how you do data science. But when you get a job, right, you're going to be applying it in a specific domain area. So we always encourage our students to gain expertise in at least one additional domain area. And many of them do that by getting either a minor or less commonly a major in a second area. The major is quite large. And so in order to get a major in a completely disjoint area, like in business or something like that, it just really fills up your schedule. I think with the new core, we might see more of that with the core that's maybe a little bit less. But prior to that, it was really a little bit challenging if the area didn't have much overlap with what we were doing already.
Right. Okay. Great. Well, and you were talking about curriculum, kind of as Palash had done with BTM, kind of some of these, kind of curriculum highlights. And I had also put on here the data science goal, which I found kind of interesting. If you can kind of talk about both of those briefly.
Sure. Yeah. So the curriculum highlights here, these are the, so like I said, it's split into 3 areas. These are the computer science highlights for the data science degree. And so these, really the two highlights for these would be databases and machine learning, the two senior level courses. If you look at job advertisements for data scientists, they tend to list three things they want to see, right? So number one is SQL, right? They all want you to have databases and SQL. That's a given. I would say 75% of the job ads I've seen for data scientists want you to have SQL. And then they also either want Python or R, right? So those are the three things that that you really need to have as a data scientist. And so here, when we're looking at the highlights here, so CS 1300, that is in Python. So that and 2100 give you your expertise in Python, which is one of the is probably the most common language for data science. Databases is where you learn SQL and a lot more, right? And then machine learning, that's what a lot of people think of when they think of data science. That is, like the chess engines, or Google search. How does Google come up with their page rank? These types of things, where you learn, you get very specific insights into data using one specific technique. So these give the highlights in terms of job preparation. The one thing that's not on there that we do also offer is we do have several classes that use and teach the R statistical programming language, which is, I would say, the third in the most common skills that people ask for in job ads. So really, when you go and look at job ads in data science, by the time you finish our program, you will feel confident, I would say, or you should feel confident in maybe 95% of the job ads. You would say, yeah, I know those things. I'd be well qualified to apply for that job.
Well, and I think both you and Palash have really hit the nail on the head kind of with the way our curriculums are designed, for both of your programs and many programs here at SLU is, the academics, but also that orientation toward, kind of becoming leaders in the field and kind of that orientation toward, satisfying kind of the job market demand. I mean, I think that's a huge opportunity. I did want to jump into real quick, because I think this is kind of on that topic, is the demand for data scientists and the job market for this area. Because as you mentioned, when we launched this program a few years back, there weren't that many national universities that had it. So kind of looking at demand and kind of the supply of the students coming out of programs for this and kind of the opportunities that they have. So maybe can you talk a little bit about the growth of data science? I mean, it's everywhere, but how does it impact our world, or where do we see it?
Sure, yeah. So I've been pleasantly surprised at the way data science has been received in the community. I get emails from companies regularly saying, hey, we need to hire data scientists. Do you have anybody that you can recommend? And unfortunately, to this point, all of our graduates from May, they had jobs lined up well before they graduated, or they had decided they were going to graduate school. So all of them were really locked down well before they graduated. We get internships. We get people emailing us about internships all the time. Just as an example, there's on South Campus in the medical school, there is a liver cancer research lab, and with Dr. Lentine, and she's one of the top liver research cancer researchers in the country, and she just loves our data science majors, right? So we had for a while we would send over a junior or a senior. Like she always had at least one junior or senior data science student as an intern. And then last year, she emailed me, said, this is great that we have these people as juniors and seniors, but I only get them for 1 year. Do you have any freshmen you can send me so I can have them for 4 years? And so lately we say, sure, so it's a little bit more, they need a little bit more training from her when they're freshmen, you understand. But she just loves the the skill set that they get and that they bring and the mindset they bring to the task. And so she wants them around for as long as she can have them. And that's the kind of thing that I've been really pleased to hear. And
well, and I think that highlights, back to, what I mentioned earlier about the community here at SLU, the fact that we have both of you taking your time today, which we're appreciative of, talking about your programs. It is this community environment, but, I always say to our international students, it's not any different than many of the countries where our students come from in kind of how do people find jobs and secure jobs. And it's really, kind of starts with obviously being in a very strong program that's recognized at a university that's highly ranked, but it's the connections and networking and the fact, I think Palash, you and Darren both have illuminated your deep connections within your fields and community, and the fact that employers are contacting our university and faculty like you both for who are you graduating, who's coming out of your program. And I always tell students, your faculty are the people you really need to know because they're the ones who employers are calling. So I think you kind of hit that really, that point very hard, which I think is important because students can actually get to know you both, can get to know our faculty here at SLU and be part of this academic and research community, which kind of leads me into, the last part of this section of, research within your department, Darren. You mentioned the Liver Center and the work there. At St. Louis University more broadly, students are able to get involved in research from day one. That's a highlight and a hallmark of a SLU education. And Darren, your anecdote with the Liver Center is that it's the fact that undergrad students can at some level be a part of what is happening in our research community here. And that is a really spectacular incentive for students to join SLU because they know that it's not just the theory, and as Palash had mentioned as well, the practicum course in his program, it's really getting students prepared. But Darren, kind of lastly, can you talk anything else about research coming out of your area or data science field more broadly, what students could get excited about here at SLU and that kind of research aspect?
Sure, yeah. So we have in our program, we have a capstone course that I can talk about a little bit. So either as a junior or a senior, you take a year-long capstone course where you are paired with a faculty member. So if you haven't done any research up to that point, you're going to do it at that during your capstone. So you're paired with a faculty member either within the Department of Math Stats or Computer Science, or more likely it's somebody outside of our departments who has data that they you don't know what to do with, right? So they have this data, they don't have time to deal with it, they don't have the expertise to deal with it, or both, most likely, and they're looking for somebody to help them. So we offer that kind of as it's kind of a service that we offer, but it's also it's a great learning opportunity for the students. We've had students work well, in the data science capstone, we've had students work with a professor from sociology who was looking at COVID data, and he was trying to create maps the most up-to-date maps to find out where people needed to be more careful, less careful, what the testing positivity rate was, but local to Missouri. So he was trying to do it, hyper local. So you could see that down to the zip code level. Like I live in, this street, do I need to be careful when I go to the grocery store? That's maybe too specific. Maybe couldn't answer that exact question, but people were interested, a year or two ago in getting, information at that level of specificity. And so that's what one of the groups was working on. We have a longer history of people doing data science projects, actually in computer science. And there they've done a lot more. For example, they'll do natural language processing, which you're working with data, but instead of having like maybe numbers or anything like that, all you have is just text, right? So your data is a bunch of text, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with this, right? Maybe it is For example, it could just be the complete works of Jane Austen, right? That might be your data set, or all the things that somebody has typed into their phone, when they're texting other people. And your goals might be to develop a spell checker, specific to that person, because maybe they have some idiosyncrasies. They use some abbreviations that they don't want to have flagged as being wrong. Maybe your goal is to do predictive text modeling, so that when, like when you're texting someone, you get these words, these predicted words coming up. Well, where do those words come from, right? That comes from natural language processing. And those are finely tuned to the individual, right? So as you notice, as you type more and more into your phone, it gets better and better at predicting, what you want to say next. And we've had students working on that. The twist is, right, so the thing is, we're not going to beat Apple's predictive text modeling for English, right? I mean, if you have a student who is a senior in college, they're not going to beat Apple's model, right? I mean, because Apple has spent so much money developing this. However, what's interesting is we have faculty expertise and interest in really minority languages. So you can develop these similar tools, but for maybe, languages that only have a few 100,000 speakers, right? So for those people, they don't have any kind of spell checker necessarily, or predictive text for texting. They just have to wing it, right? So, and it's not going to be self-correcting or anything like that. So even if you can do a pretty good job, not as good as the English for, that Apple has for English, it still can be very useful to these groups. And that's just just another example of the types of things that people can do at SLU.
Well, and I think those are great examples. I think you and Palash both touched on things that are impacting and are involved in everyone's day-to-day lives, no matter where you are in the world. So those are phenomenal examples. I think kind of how both of these fields, BTM and data science, really are impact our worlds, but also how students can really be getting the training embedded in our program. So this Capstone course with faculty and research, and Palash and your practicum course as well. I think those are really phenomenal opportunities. Darren, thank you so much for that wonderful overview. I feel that this is exactly what our audience and students and our counselors around the world really are eager to hear about, these cutting edge kind of new discipline and areas. I want to give a really quick overview of our location, and then we'll wrap up with how can students apply for these excellent programs and scholarship opportunities. So as I had mentioned, and I think both Darren and Palash have really reiterated, our location is really a phenomenal selling point for St. Louis University, our programs, but in particular both of these fields. We have about 3 million people here in St. Louis. So as international students thinking about coming to the United States, I think, they think, oh, New York or Los Angeles, nothing else exists, but there are phenomenal opportunities in cities like St. Louis, and probably better opportunities for international students. The environment's, more conducive to a higher quality of living, lower cost of living, as well as really great access to employers that are seeking students coming out of fields like data science and BTM because of the growth mode that we're in. And it's a little bit less aggressive in an environment than larger, more expensive cities. But really thinking about kind of the business, IT sector, kind of what is happening here. We have very large industries in supply chain, logistics, healthcare, business banking, management. So there are large bases of employers headquartered here in St. Louis. Palash had mentioned Fortune companies. We are very fortunate to have, I believe now 14 headquartered Fortune companies here in St. Louis in the top 500 and top 1,000, as well as a very large base of some of the largest private companies headquartered here in St. Louis. Palash had mentioned MasterCard. They have one of their global IT operations centers right here in St. Louis. So, students coming out of both of these programs probably would be highly sought after, just for example, MasterCard. So great opportunities. And Palash, I love that you mentioned the tech STL, and be looking for that note as well, but the high need for, IT professionals and managers here in St. Louis. Really great place to live. But again, as STEM programs, the students can qualify for that OPT extension. We really like to highlight SLU for STEM, and these programs are really at the heart of what makes SLU an excellent institution for these kind of forward-facing and future-focused degree programs, which are great opportunities. Additionally, our location, something very unique and special, is we are adjacent to the Cortex Innovation District, which is one of the top innovation districts in the United States. It's walking distance from our campus. What's great about Cortex is there are a lot of opportunities for students to network. They used to, I'm not sure if they still do, have the weekly networking opportunities where students can meet people in the field and kind of start making those connections with employers. And a lot of our students will go and get onto Cortex campus and meet a lot of these startup companies and larger companies that are based there as well. Here you can just see a few of the large companies that are headquartered or have large operations here in St. Louis. Everything from Purina that makes dog and cat food to Pfizer that has an R&D development center here. If you are familiar with Energizer batteries, they're headquartered right here in St. Louis. So a lot of different industries, big and small, here in St. Louis for those opportunities. Lastly, just a couple notes about our entry requirements for international students. We do offer a variety of flexibility when it comes to the background academics, as well as the English language requirements. So we can really accommodate students from a wide variety of backgrounds coming into these programs, as well as all of our undergrad programs, because we do have our International Year One program, as well as direct entry. So we do encourage students to really think about SLU as an excellent option for both of these programs and everything else that we offer here. We do not require SAT or ACT. It is optional, but submitting that could influence the scholarship decision. So when students are admitted, they are considered directly for scholarships, depending on where you're coming from in the world and your background and your academics. Students can, earn up to a merit-based scholarship of about 50% of tuition, which would be about 25,000 USD per year. Our tuition is about 50,000. Being a private school, the tuition is the same for all students, domestic and international, but that private school experience, I think, kind of circling back to the beginning, is all about this community, having our faculty at the front of your journey, the opportunity to get to meet with them, hear about their program, all the way through employment and post-graduation opportunities is really part of this private school community experience. And we're really excited to have faculty like Darren and Palash who have joined us today. I have QR codes up here if you want to get more information about each of these programs. The BTM program comes off of the IYO Business QR code, and then the computer science one will lead into the data science program and their corresponding curriculums and roadmaps. I'll leave the chat box open just for a minute. We didn't have any questions throughout, but you can always contact me if you have any questions, or your counselor that you're working with, or our interregional team members. But thank you so much, Darren and Palash. It is, I've learned a lot today. I'm encouraged I would love to go back to school and have had these opportunities that students these days do. And I think what I will remember from this is truly how both of your programs impact, our worlds every day. Palash, it's Prime Day coming up, so Amazon's hot on my mind right now. So just thinking about probably what people out of your field have delivered into my inbox, but a really phenomenal information today. We would love to welcome students. I do see one question: what would be the maximum scholarship students can get per year? So the maximum merit-based scholarship is 25,000 USD per year. All awards are awarded for the duration of the undergrad degree, up to a maximum of 8 semesters. We do also have a full tuition scholarship, which is our competitive presidential scholarship. It has a separate application that's due by December 1, and it's not guaranteed, it is competitive, but the maximum merit base, which is kind of automatically considered at admission, would be 25,000. So really great question there on the scholarships as well. So again, thank you everyone for joining, and my huge thanks to Darren and Palash for taking time earlier in the morning on a Thursday. We will certainly let you get back to all the phenomenal things that you're doing, but thank you both again. And if anyone has follow-up questions, please reach out to me directly. Happy to help you. All right. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good
Right,
day,
thank
good
you.
evening, good night.